One family, one people, one planet, one love. One family, one people, one planet, one love. One family.
Buongiorno. Welcome to SoulCall Sunday. I'm Reverend Christie Hardwick, broadcasting from Italy today to welcome you to our Sunday time together. Whether it's morning for you, afternoon, or evening, we welcome you, and we're so glad you're here. At SoulCall, we love to start anything that we do by connecting mind, body, and spirit. And so we have a practice called Qigong that happens for you every Sunday with one of our master teachers. They are among many other teachers that we have here at SoulCall for your benefit, because as each of us are lifted, the world is lifted. So take a few moments before we dive into the message for today and enjoy Qigong with Sifu Helen Yi.
With the focus of our mind, we're going to concentrate on expanding outwards into the cosmos, into all the universes, where universal chi is. Gather it in with our mind's focus and intention, directing it into the byway, the crown chakra on our head. Bring it into the meridian pathways, into the central channel, allowing it to circulate and bathe all of our cells, going into all the different areas of our bodies and our organs, getting deep into the bone marrow, feeling that subtle vibration of energy increasing, building up the vitality within us. And from here, lifting your arms up as you inhale, interlacing the fingers above us, exhaling. From here, turning the palms to sky, we're going to rotate our left elbow first in a circular motion forward, and the right elbow circulating, and then coming back to center. And now stretching the arms above us and bending our head down to stretch all of the cervical vertebrae. Relaxing the arms again. From here, circulating the elbow, the left and the right again. And from here, extending the arms, stretching and bending the knees to stretch the thoracic vertebrae. Bringing in space and openness, relaxing the arms, and one more time, circulating the left elbow and then the right. And again, extending the arms, stretching them up, and as if you're sitting down in a chair, bending the knees, looking down, stretching all the vertebrae, extending the arms all the way up and relaxing, unlocking the fingers, bringing the arms down. Feel that increase of vitality and chi coming into the body, nourishing all of our cells, feeling all of that sensation of good chi, pushing out any kind of stagnation, moving that chi, circulating it into our bodies, feeling great appreciation for our practice.
Thank you, Helen Yi, for that practice. And we invite you to watch other SoulCall Sundays and watch them over and over, because there's always a new gift every time I watch something, especially when I'm listening to wonderful Lisa Ferrero or Natalia Zuckerman on a Wisdom Wednesday. There's so much richness here. And every time we hear something, depending on our own state of mind, it can be different. In terms of our state of mind, we start with the body, and then we connect in for a meditation. As you know, we have meditation Mondays, and we have yoga also, which already happened this morning on Sunday. All these ways to connect in with the mind and the body and the spirit. So we will move into a meditation, and I've chosen a song that's from Seeker 7, which is the wonderful dynamic duo of Natalia Zuckerman and Lisa Ferrero. And this song is Psalm 23. We use many different sources of spiritual and sacred texts for our speaking, for the music, and this particular one, as you know, comes from the Bible. And what I like to say about any of the passages from the Bible is to listen to it with your frame of reference. Listen to it as if you are the one being spoken to. And whether you use the word Lord or God or universe or spirit, just replace anything that doesn't work for you, but receive the words, receive the message that it has. And let's move into a meditation and let these words just wash over you.
The Lord is my shepherd, I have all I need. She makes me lie down in green meadows, beside the still waters she will lead. She restores my soul, she rights my wrongs. She leads me in a path of good things and fills my heart with songs. Even though I walk through a dark and dreary land, there is nothing that can shake me. She has said she won't forsake me. I'm in her hands. She sets a table before me in the presence of my foes. She anoints my head with oil, and my cup overflows. Surely, surely goodness and kindness will follow me all the days of my life, and I will live in her house forever, forever and ever. Glory be to our mother and daughter and to the Holy of Holies, as it was in the beginning, is now and ever shall be, world without end. Amen.
Beautiful. I meditated away on the ether with that. Breathing in, taking in all the beautiful words, world without end. Amen. She will never forsake me. What a beautiful idea. We think of it as spirit is never separate from us. Love is never separate from us. We are never forsaken. We are always, always present. I'm just checking in. I had a little moment without any internet, so I want to make sure that I'm back. It looks like I am. My wonderful computer decided to switch over and find another source, find another channel. There's only one source, one energy, one wonderful way of connecting. And I'm really glad that I was able to come back. It's a wonderful thing when you're sitting here and you're live and you notice that all of a sudden things are just scrolling. And I look up and it says no internet connection. It hasn't happened yet. And there you are. So glad that I'm back and that you were able to enjoy that beautiful meditation and bring us right into this moment. Breathing in right here and right now in this perfect and precious moment. There's only one life, one presence, one power, one beauty, one energy that lives and moves and has its being in every one of us. We celebrate this knowing. We give thanks for this knowing. We breathe it in and lean into the presence of the one every moment of every day. Relaxing into the knowing, we accept the words that are revealed and use what moves us to a higher place. And so it is. So grateful to be here with all of you. As you know, this morning's theme is this month's theme, which is pause. And I have to always spell it because it sounds like P-A-W-S. P-A-U-S-E. Pause. I don't know about you, but it has been a while and it continues to be a lesson to learn how to take a pause. One of the ways I learned about how I hadn't yet gotten that lesson was from a wonderful teacher. His name is Masanko Kamisibanda. He's from Malawi. I brought him to work with some leaders when I was working in technology, and he was teaching us all about the different ways of leading. And he was teaching us by having movement. He would say, well, there's some people who move in the air, and they belong having roles that move them in the air. There's some people who move like water, and they're in the middle, and their roles should be things that move things forward in that way. Then there's some people who really are ones that are more grounded, and they should really be doing work that's more on the ground. And he said some of the problems that you have in your organization are that you have people who should be here, down here, and people who should be here, up here, in terms of where they're leading and what kind of work they're doing. So he was teaching us about our orientation and how we move through life and how we relate to the ether, how we relate to life itself. When I was doing my exercise, he would have us walk and stop, he'd have us run and stop, he'd have us move and stop. And he came to me quietly because I was the executive who hosted this whole thing. So he didn't beam it out, but he whispered, he said, do you realize that you don't have a full stop? Do you realize that you always are ready to take the next step, that you're not actually stopping? And I wasn't aware of that. I was always poised for the next step. I was always poised to move forward. There was never a full pause, a full stop. I listened to that and I started to think about how could I learn to pause? I had been working at getting somewhere, getting something done for as long as I could remember. I'm literally a person who left home at 17, married at 18. My twins were born at 19. I was in school. I didn't want to stop, so I took a quarter off and kept going to finish. At some point in my junior year in college, I was 20 years old, I collapsed in the cafeteria. Big surprise. 2 children, full-time student, working. And at that moment, I was on my own. So I didn't know how to pause or stop or rest. I thought somehow something was going to catch me if I slowed down in any way. And that continued for a good portion of my life. At this point, when I'm learning this lesson about how I don't pause, that was 10 years later. That was in my 30s in a high technology company. So when did I finally learn something about this? Well, I'm learning it now. I continue to learn it now. I began to realize that I could actually give better and give more and give in a more constructive, productive, and positive way when I did take pause and take rest. So I began to change my schedule a little bit. I used to be available to people, whenever they needed me, and different time zones. You could find me waking up and getting on a call at 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. because a different time zone for someone. But eventually I could see it wasn't serving me, and I had to stop doing that. I needed to honor myself. This idea of being in service and being in service to the whole is something many of us carry, especially all you light beings out there. You are thinking about how you can be of service, and sometimes your own care gets left behind. And I did that for a good portion of my life. I now have a schedule where when I meet with clients, I still do some coaching. I meet with clients between Monday and Wednesday, and I have certain hours. And that's it. And I don't make appointments on Thursday and Friday, so that I have the space and the pause to allow what wants to come through me to come through me, and to be available to them in a way that I have also taken care of my needs and feel like I've honored myself by the schedule that I have. Now, I know that not everyone can have a schedule like that. I appreciate it. I'm in my 60s, so I'm semi-retired. Even if you're working full-time, when I was working full-time, I just didn't understand that I needed to carve out pauses, so I didn't do it. So I hope that some of you listening, if you are still fully engaged and full out, that you realize that taking a pause is beneficial for you and the whole. One of the books that I've read many times, and I probably would say I read it almost every year, it's called Sabbath by Wayne Mueller. And in it, he talks about how we've forgotten how to rest as a society. We plow through, we power through, we get things done. But we've forgotten how to truly rest. And he's not speaking about Sabbath in the religious sense. He's speaking about a day of rest, or a time of rest, or an hour of rest, or a sabbatical of rest, but actually utilizing it. And that the angels of our better nature are available to us when we've taken pause. There was a beautiful quote that Natalia used this morning in yoga, talking about the time between when something happens and when you respond to it. And that space in between, that pause, gives you the power to be able to choose how you're going to respond to something. It's so important, especially today, when there is so much conflict raging around us, that we use that pause button daily in conversations and then for ourselves. There's a beautiful quote that's in the book called Sabbath that comes from Thomas Merton, who was called what was called a Trappist monk, and he lived up until the 60s, born in 1913. But he was known for being a social activist and caring about things, even though he was cloistered many times in his life. And he was aware of the tendency to push ourselves. So he writes here, there is a pervasive form of contemporary violence, and that is activism and overwork. The rush and pressure of modern life are a form, perhaps the most common form, of its innate violence. To allow oneself to be carried away by a multitude of conflicting concerns, to surrender to too many demands, to commit oneself to too many projects, to want to help everyone in everything, is to succumb to violence. The frenzy of our activism neutralizes our work for peace. I'm going to repeat that. The frenzy of our activism neutralizes our work for peace. It destroys our own inner capacity for peace. It destroys the fruitfulness of our own work because it kills the root of inner wisdom, which makes work fruitful. What powerful words. I need those often to remind me that you can't spend yourself trying to save the world or even save yourself. You need to take time and not perpetrate violence on yourself by rushing, by pushing, by cramming, by trying to get so much done, by feeling under constant pressure. You might be like the turtle and be able to have, a calm countenance, but underneath, all of that's going on. And sometimes we think it's a great badge of honor to be able to say, I'm so busy, I'm so slammed, I'm this. In this society, there's rewards for that. And there's also addictions that occur as a result of it. People trying to give themselves some rest through artificial substances because they haven't actually given themselves some rest, or through food or excessive exercise. We tend to be extreme when we are extremely overdoing it. In this day and age, there's so much calling us. There's so many conflicting things that want our attention. And we, out of love in our hearts, want so much to help. We want to help, as he said, everyone with everything. But there is something that's yours to do, and it has to do with your gifts. So if you're willing to take a pause and be aware of what's calling you and what's calling you to share, and what you're being called to share that comes from within, that comes from a place of fullness, that comes from your natural way of being. And this is the trick. We need to know that's enough. Sometimes we think if we are not helping with the biggest thing that's happening on the planet today, we're just not helping. If what we're called to do and be is the one who plants the garden, is the one who weeds the garden, is the one who cares for someone's child, is the one who says hello to neighbors, is the one who writes songs, who writes music, who writes words, who paints, who stays healthy and vibrant and emanates a light, if that's ours to do, if that's our gift, we have to know it's enough. We have to know it's enough. I remember learning once from someone that the Chinese language has characters in it, and the characters stand for whole and full concepts. So when I look at the writing that's in Chinese, I think these are letters like what we have, but there really are more characters that stand for something. And I'll never forget someone telling me that the characters for busy, there's two of them, and the character for heart and the character for kill are in that word, that concept, busy. So taking pause and not letting ourselves be so busy that we can't come from a fullness. And we think, well, what's enough? Is it like, do I just make sure I get a good night's sleep? Is that enough of a pause? That's a beginning. So please do get a good night's sleep. It's critical. They're learning more and more about the science of sleep and how it is really the foundational thing for our health. You want health, you want wealth and prosperity, all of it starts with your sleep. So yes, taking a pause for sleep is good. But taking a pause in your life is good. When you feel tired, what a concept. Rest. When it's more than you can do that day, stop. When you've signed up for too much, say, I'm sorry. I would love to give you the fullness of my gifts, and they're not available right now. I'm going to need to pull back on that. In this society, we don't give ourselves permission to do that very much. We make a plan, we stick to the plan, And this plan has no pauses in it. What about putting pauses in your plan? What about putting clauses in your plan that allow you to course correct when you found yourself being violent with your own schedule? That was a strong word he chose. And I think it's powerful because many of us think of ourselves as pacifists and peacemakers and lovers of peace. Yet if we perpetrate violence on ourselves by not listening to what we need in order to stay centered and whole, we are committing a level of violence on ourselves. I listened to a wonderful podcast, a woman who is a songwriter, and her name is Carrie Newcomer, and she wrote a song that's about going at the speed of your soul and saying how she was going faster than her soul could keep up. And she talked about how she learned this from Native peoples who said they were helping someone who was on a big tour in the Himalayas, and they were actually Sherping, like being Sherpas and carrying for the people. And they spent the night somewhere and it was time to go. And the people wanting to go said, it's time for us to go. And then the Native people said, no, it's not time to go. My soul has not caught up with where we are yet. So this idea of moving at the speed of your own soul is part of the idea of pause. What is the speed of your own soul? How can you be gentle and even tender? As many of you know, I'm working on a book that will come out very shortly called Radical Tenderness. And the idea of that is to be radical with the tenderness towards yourself so that you can be radical with the tenderness towards the world. So this idea of going at your own soul's speed, at taking pause to check in. Is this pace good for me? Is this place good for me? Is this moment good for me? Is what I'm engaged in good for me? Good for me because as I slow down, as I take a pause, it makes it possible for me to be available with my gifts, coming from a place of fullness, not from a place of anxiety or fear or trying to rush to solve a problem. Like everything else in life, some things are simple but not easy. I realize it's simple to say, take a pause, slow down, give yourself rest, but it's worthwhile. It's a worthwhile goal. I'm here to remind you of your magnificence. I'm here to remind you of the wonder that you are. I want to show you all the love you're worthy of. I'm here to remind you how much you're truly loved. It's with all love that I speak these words for you and for me. Take a pause. Namaste.
When all the world is a hopeless jumble and the raindrops tumble all around, heaven opens a magic lane. When all the clouds darken up the skyway, there's a rainbow highway to be found, leading from your window pane to a place beyond the sun, just a step beyond the rain. Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, there's a land that I've heard of once. somewhere over the rainbow, skies are so blue, and the dreams that we dare to dream, they really do come true. Someday I wish upon a star and wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where troubles melt like lemon drops away above the chimney top. That's where you'll find me, somewhere over the rainbow. Bluebirds fly, birds fly over the rainbow. So can you and I. Someday I wish upon a star and wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where troubles melt like lemon drops away above the chimney top. That's where you'll find me, somewhere over the rainbow. Bluebirds do fly, birds fly over the rainbow. So can you and I. If happy little bluebirds fly beyond the rainbow, so can you and I. So can you and I.
Bah.
Yeah. That's
Yes, yes, we can. So can you and I. And I chose that song because of the beautiful Natalia Zuckerman and Lisa Ferrero, but also because the idea of this song, and I'm a Wizard of Oz lunatic, I have to admit, but remember Dorothy's just sort of leaning against the, the haystacks, and she's just dreaming and thinking, and this is the song that she sings, I'm wondering. And maybe she would have never got to Oz if she hadn't leaned against those haystacks and just wondered for a little bit. So dream your dreams and take the time for those things to come through you and to you, for you, and know that it also gives to us. So thank you so much for being with us this morning. We have a few announcements. I also want to just thank everyone who's here and it's chatting with us. I appreciate you. Thank you, Dominica and Lisa and Terry and Joy and Kim and Lily. Thank you so much for being here with us on the chat and for giving us some comments and some high fives. We appreciate it. It's energetic to be in the ether with you and know that you're out there with us right now. So thank you all for being here. We have so many things to give here at SoulCall Global, and all for our own awakening, all for our own opportunities. We all take advantage of each of them. I was in yoga with Natalia this morning, along with Terry and some others. And what a gift that is, to have Natalia Zuckerman share her practice with us and let us breathe and connect in union with mind, body, and soul, and then prepare for the rest of our day. So that's Sundays at 8:15 that's Eastern time. And I know there are people from all over, so you have to kind of translate that. For me, it's in Italy, 2:15 in the afternoon, but find your time zone, 8:15 Eastern time. And then, starting on Mondays, then we have Monday meditations. So each Monday, Lisa and or a guest, or I or Natalia, for a deep meditation, a way of doing your evening differently. Maybe you like to watch things, and I love movies and all kinds of things, but sometimes ending your evening with a meditation is really a beautiful thing to do. So Meditation Mondays. And we have so many events and classes going on at SoulCall Global that are all for you. So please go to the website and check out the events and classes that we have. There are quite a few that are coming up right now that you can sign up for. And actually, we have some guests next Sunday. So even before signing up for that, we have guests next Sunday. Are they speaking also, Natalia, or are they just doing a workshop? They're just doing the workshop. Okay. So next Sunday, the first workshop that's coming up is with these two beautiful souls who are going to teach us about practicing presence and finding sincerity. Meeting Rumi. I love that title. That's great. So join us next Sunday after SoulCall Sunday for that workshop. And we have classes, ongoing classes that are coming up as well. We have Playing with Words, Generative Poetry Workshop with Kara Armstrong. That will be starting. And please go to the website to sign up for that. Tuesday, October the 5th. Looks like that's the first day that it starts. That's coming up before we know it. I know that I have a class starting up again in November, but signups are available now. Writing as a Path to Awakening, based on the book by Albert de Silver, where we actually dive into our own souls through our own writing and using prompts. So feel free to sign up for all those classes. It creates community, gives you a touchstone, and deepens your own practice. So we have so much here for you. Did I forget anything that we needed to share, Natalia? I get everything? Okay, fantastic. Isn't she great? Look at that. I get good comments. I like that. So we are so happy that you have been here with us. And I sang a little tiny bit of a song that was a David Alt song. And it's called I'm Here to Remind You of Your Magnificence. And at the very end of it, how much you're truly loved. And that's what we like to remind you here all the time. Wherever you are, whenever you're here with us, whenever you're somewhere else, at all times, without fail, you are loved.
One family, one people, one planet, one love.